All right, students, this video is going to talk about section 2.5 for Math 2. We'll be talking about factoring polynomials. And so we've been working with polynomials, things with like x squared. What it is, though, the book, when their first example, they really kind of throw it at you. They jump in with P's and Q's and B and C, and I mean, it's kind of confusing. Really, you're going to most of the time have actual numbers. Okay, so if you read this core concept idea here, and did not get it, don't worry, that's what we're going to explain in this video. So first, I'll need some scratch paper. Okay, so we're going to talk about factoring. Really, factoring is related to that other method we learned called FOIL. So FOIL was the way we multiplied everything. Factoring is basically reversing FOIL. So I think it sort of helps to go through one on FOIL first. So let's say x plus 3, x plus 4. Okay. And what we need to do is draw the arrows so we figure out what multiplies. First is x times x, so you get x squared. Outside is 4x. Inside is 3x. And the last one is 3 times 4, which is 12. So I went a little fast because we've done these before already, and we're going to try and talk about where we're going with this. 4x, 3x, that gives you 7x plus 12. So the difference here is we used FOIL here to get us eventually to here. What we're trying to do with factoring is go backwards. Okay? And the key here is to recognize a couple things. The 7x is related to the 3 and 4. That's how we got 7x. But the 12 is also related to 3 and 4 because it's 3 times 4. That's going to be a common pattern for these. These things are going to have something in common. Okay? You add to get the middle number, and you multiply to get that number. Okay, so let's run through a couple examples here and see what we can do. Okay, so first things first, though. The examples we're going to do on this video will always have x squared by itself, or it would be a 1x squared if we were going to put a number there. That makes these a little easier. Now, the method here is this. Some teachers draw this, just for an x here. I've seen it different ways. We'll put 30 on top and 13 on the bottom. We need two numbers that multiply to make 30, but add up to 13. Okay. So there's lots of ways to do this. For example, for 30, let me put a little side note here. You might be thinking 2 times 15. You might be thinking 6 times 5. You might be thinking 3 times 10. All of those are good ways to get 30. All of these are good ways to get 30, but only one of them adds up to 13. So that has to be the 3 times 10. Okay, that's what I like about this method. There's only going to be one way to factor this. Okay. And it'll be x and x here because x times x gave you the x squared. The 30 and the 13, well, it's x plus 3, x plus 10. Okay. Now, if you don't trust that, let's FOIL it and check. So first you get the x times x, which is x squared. You get the x times 10, which is 10x. 3 times x. 3 times 10, which is 30. And again, when you combine these, you'll get 13x of x squared in the front plus 30. So that's what we started with. Okay, so this is just we checked it. You do not have to always check it, but in the first couple tries it's good to do it because you might not trust that this works. Okay, so sometimes we use the x method like that. Some people put a diamond around it and call it the diamond method. There's variations of this, but it's all essentially the same. So let's look at another example here. We'll make one up here. X squared plus 19x. Plus 70. So instead of the diamond method for this one, we're going to use what I call the cross multiply method. What it is, it's the same exact thing. We need two numbers that multiply and make 70. They need to add up to 19. Okay, so they need to multiply to 70, add to 19. That does not seem easy, okay, because 70 is a bigger number. Okay, but let's do this. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get it into two binomials. Okay, and so the x squared is going to come from x and x. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that right below here. I'm going to say x times x. Okay, and the 70 is going to come from, well, maybe it's 7 times 10. You cross multiply those. You'll have a 7x plus a 10x. That won't work. So 7 and 10 can't be it. Those are not it. Okay. So then I put my next choices for 70. Let's see, 7 and 10. That's the only thing I could think. You check on your calculator though, and you should have 5 times 14. Okay. How did I know that? Well, I checked it on the calculator earlier. What it is 70 can only divide by 10. It can divide by 5. It can divide by 7. There's not too many factors of 70. So 5 and 14, when you cross multiply them, I sort of ran out of room because I wrote over here. Let me start this again. Or let me rewrite it. Let me make some new room under here. Let's say we have 15 and 4. Okay. 15 times 4 is... Oh, sorry, 14 times 5. Jeez. 14 times 5. I can copy it correctly. There we go. That would give you 14x. That would give you 5x. And together, those would give you the 19x. Alright. And so 14 and 5 are your two numbers that they add up to 19 and they multiply to make 70. So 14 and 5. There it goes. Now, we need to try one more with a negative in there. So this one took us a little while because it was 70. We had to try a couple, and that'll happen as well when you do negatives. Okay, so let's check this again. There's a new one, but it has negatives now. X squared comes from x times x. That's how we're going to start these problems. And then over here, we're going to put the multiples of 24. Okay, so again, it's a little bit different than the diamond method, but the goal is the same. They need to multiply to make negative 24. They need to add up to negative 10. Multiply to this one, but add up to this. And it's a little bit tricky though because of the negatives. So, but don't worry. Let's just focus on 24. Well, that could be 6 times 4, and that gives you 10. But in order for it to be a negative, one would have to be positive, one would have to be negative. That makes sense? Positive times a negative would give us a negative answer here. But wait, when we combine these, we wouldn't get the negative 10. That's not going to work. Shoot. All right, so now we go. Let's try it again. 6 and 4 wasn't going to work. Let's see. Well, how else can we get 24? We can. 2 times 12. Now we got to check. There's only one way to get a negative 24. There's two ways to get a negative 24, but only one way gives us a negative 10. So that would have to be a negative 12 and a positive 2. And here's how we check this. When I check the cross product, x times 2 would give you 2x. X times negative 12 will give you negative 12x. And when you add those, you get negative 10x. And that's what we needed. Okay, so what we're doing here, essentially, we're doing the steps of FOIL without realizing it. X times x gives you the x squared. How do we get to 24? From 2 and negative 12. How did we get the negative 10? From the inside and the outside. 2x and a minus 12x. So if you FOIL this out, it will give you back the original, always. If it doesn't, then we messed something up. Alright, let's just try one more with a negative. Now, the more you practice this, the easier it's going to get. So again, x squared comes from x times x. How do we get 40? Well, you might be thinking, well, 4 times 10, obviously. But wait, 4 and 10 would never give us 3. We'd never combine these to get a 3. That doesn't work. So it can't be 4 and 10. And you say, shoot, well, 2 and 20. But again, 2 times 20 will give you 40, but will never give you 3. You'll never get a 3 out of there. And if you're not too sure, well, then use a calculator, but I'll help you out here. It's 8 and 5. I think 8 and 5 will work. Now, let's say I'm not sure which one's which. Okay, let's check this. When we do, if we do a positive 8 and a negative 5, what will happen when we check the cross multiplication? X times 8 will give you 8x. X times minus 5 will give you minus 5x. Oh, wait, that is correct. That gave us a plus 3. There we go. That's what we needed in the middle. Okay. So you got to check these and you got to pay attention to the sign. Because if we ended up with a negative 3x here, we'd have to flip-flop. We did something wrong. But we did it okay here. We ended up with a positive 3. We had a positive 3. So those are our factors. Positive 8. X minus 5. So again, what's going on with cross multiplication here? We're really just doing the FOIL without realizing it. You're really checking the FOIL. So if you do this right, you don't have to recheck it. But if you like to check it twice, you can FOIL this and it better come out with what you started with. All right. In the next video, we'll talk about what do you do when it's not a 1 here. It's only a few. It's a little bit more work, but I use the same method. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.